Okay, so today we're going to dive into a really critical idea. In this huge race to build smarter and smarter AI, the biggest hurdle, it isn't the technology, it's us. We're going to unpack this whole concept of the human bottleneck and look at why our own wisdom, not just raw processing speed, is what's really going to shape our future. And this quote, wow, it just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? We are so obsessed with faster chips, bigger models, more data. But this suggests the real ceiling for intelligence isn't something we can build. The final barrier might just be our own ability for conscious, thoughtful understanding. So that leads to the central dilemma, the big question we're all facing. AI isn't just another tool that works faster. It's a technology that learns, that accelerates, all on its own. So how on earth do you guide something that is constantly, and I mean constantly, outpacing our ability to even keep up? Well, the core of the problem really boils down to this, what's being called the acceleration mismatch. It's this fundamental clash between technology that's growing exponentially, just shooting for the stars, and our human systems, our laws, our ethics, our institutions, which just kind of chug along at a much slower, linear pace. This slide just lays it out so clearly. It's like we're operating on two completely different clocks. Over on the left, you've got AI. It learns recursively, it improves itself, and its capabilities can scale across the entire planet in a matter of hours. And then there's us, on the right. Our wisdom, well, that evolves over generations through slow, careful reflection. We're just not built for the same kind of speed. And calling AI a disruptor feels like a huge understatement. A much better word is amplifier, because that's what it does. It takes whatever we point it at, our goals, our biases, our best intentions, and our worst, and it magnifies them on a global scale. It's less of a new tool and more like a megaphone for all of humanity. So this incredible power to amplify things creates a massive problem for how we govern ourselves. The gap between how fast technology is changing and our ability to regulate it, well, it's not a gap anymore. It's a chasm, and our old rulebooks, they just can't keep up. This challenge isn't new. It was actually identified decades ago in what's called the Collingridge dilemma. And it's the perfect catch-22. When a technology is brand new, we don't know enough about its potential harms to regulate it properly. But by the time we do understand the risks, the technology is so woven into the fabric of society that trying to control it is incredibly difficult, if not impossible. And that is exactly where we are right now. This really highlights the pivot we have to make. Our old model of reactive governance, basically waiting for something bad to happen before we do anything, is completely broken. At the speed AI moves, the damage is done before a committee can even schedule a meeting. We have to shift to an anticipatory approach, designing flexible policies that can actually evolve with the tech and hopefully get ahead of crises before they happen. But here's the thing. Even with the smartest, most forward-thinking policies in the world, there's still one final, ultimate limiting factor. The problem isn't just the technology, and it's not just the rules we write for it. The real bottleneck in the age of AI is us. It's really that simple and that profound. As artificial intelligence scales our abilities outward, making us more powerful, the ultimate constraint becomes the internal architecture of the human mind itself. Our ability to process information, to reason with wisdom, and to act together. That becomes the choke point. And here's why. We all operate with these built-in limits. We only have so much cognitive bandwidth. Our emotional regulation can be, well, fragile. Our attention spans are fragmented into a million pieces. We naturally shy away from complexity, and we are hardwired to favor simple, short-term gains over complex, long-term thinking. And look, these aren't character flaws. It's just how our brains work, and they're now being pushed to their absolute limit. This all leads to a really surprising conclusion. All those things we often dismiss as soft skills, like empathy, trust, moral discernment. It turns out they're actually the essential infrastructure holding our entire civilization together. Without a high level of emotional intelligence, or EQ, all this powerful new technology just becomes a more dangerous weapon in very unsteady hands. Okay, so if we're the bottleneck, how do we expand our own capacity? The source for this analysis proposes a really elegant idea, a framework it calls a cognitive exoskeleton. Just think of it like a toolkit for our minds, a set of 4 lenses to help us see the world more clearly and navigate this new, incredibly complex era. So here they are, the four parts of this exoskeleton framed as modern-day survival skills. First, we need systems thinking to see the big picture, the interconnections, so we can avoid those awful unintended consequences. Then, emotional intelligence, to make sure our choices are grounded in humanity, not just raw efficiency. Third is strategic foresight, which is about imagining multiple possible futures, not just clinging to one. And finally, anticipatory governance, to turn all that preparation into real, meaningful action. Together, they help us keep pace. So when you put these skills into practice, it forces a fundamental shift in our entire approach. We have to move away from this obsession with control and toward a whole new model of stewardship. We have to completely redefine our relationship with the intelligence that we're creating. Because let's be honest, trying to maintain total, absolute control, that's a brittle strategy. It's a game we're almost certain to lose as AI's capabilities grow. The much more resilient, more adaptive path is coevolution. It's about learning to guide and grow alongside our technology, acting more like careful stewards or gardeners rather than absolute masters. This moral equation here just sums up the whole challenge perfectly. On one side, you have AI's recursive power, which is always increasing. You multiply that by human intent, and what you get is the trajectory of our civilization. And you'll notice the only variable in that entire equation that we actually have control over is our own intent. So how do we make sure our intent is wise when everything is moving at an exponential pace? Well, the answer isn't to just try and slow everything down. That's impossible. The antidote to all this speed is presence. It's the ability to be deliberate, to be aware, to be purposeful in our actions, even when we're surrounded by chaos. It's awareness moving at the speed of relevance. And that leaves us with this final, really powerful thought. After all the talk about neural networks and data sets and processing power, it turns out the most decisive algorithm that will shape our future isn't going to be artificial at all. It is, and it always has been, human judgment.